Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Boxing 365 for this, which is going to be a short edition of our usual programming. We're going to talk about the Inoue versus Nakatani fight, which is going to be taking place in Japan at the Tokyo Dome. And it will be on DAZN. Live and exclusive on DAZN.
Live and exclusive on DAZN, our partners over at DAZN. If you do want to subscribe to watch the fight, make sure to subscribe using our link below. Exclusive discounts will follow, especially with pay-per-view events such as the Zurdo Ramirez and Benavidez fight, where if you aren't already a DAZN Ultimate member, you can be one by clicking our link below. Becoming a DAZN Ultimate member gets you that pay-per-view free.
Very good. We all like free things. We are pretty much exclusively going to be talking about the Inoue Nakatani fight this time. For anybody who's seen the other videos, we recorded everything. No audio, no audio on any of the videos, so we wasted a good few hours there. But we are going to talk about the Inoue Nakatani fight, and we'll make a very quick mention of a couple of the other fights.
Do you know when we talk about fights and we're talking?
Yeah.
Like you can obviously see our sort of broadcast screen, we'll call it, the laptop. Do you think I need to be focused more talking to you, sort of to them? Like, does that look better or does that look worse than like if we're having a conversation?
Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Does it look better when Tom looks at you with his hideous face, or is it better when you can't really see much of his face?
I always find myself looking too far this way, though. I think
I'm gonna try and.
I feel like I need to.
Don't let everybody in on our secrets. Right. Anyway, couple of minutes in.
Inoue Nakatani.
Yeah, undisputed super bantamweight clash, all Japanese. Two of the probably top
12.
12.
What?
Yeah, top 12 pound fighters in the world. Nakatani would have been probably 8, but after that last fight at super bantam
and other fighters' performances, I know we spoke about it yesterday in our
Yeah.
rehearsal that we didn't want to do. We've also got Emmanuel Navarrete, who comes off of a very good win. I think he looks to sneak into there. And there are other fighters that are in that conversation. You've got Xander Zayas, who's now obviously a unified champion up against Boots. He's very much in that conversation. Sebastian Fundora in his most recent win, he's now in that top 10 conversation. But yeah, I think Inoue top 2.
Yeah.
Probably at the minute, I'll be honest, with the whole
Probably number
Rico
one.
Verhoeven, for me, is the pound-for-pound king of boxing at the minute.
Yeah.
Whereas Inoue is probably Nakatani's probably.
Might have just dropped out of that top 10 at the minute.
Yeah, he may. I mean, I'd have to put my list together. He may be still in there, but
That's a good
we're
point.
coming up to being due. I think we are due.
I think we are. I think we're due in April, and it is April. So yeah.
Fucking hell, another recording after this.
No.
More recordings.
So obviously, in a way, he's 32-0. He's 27 knockouts. He's 33 years old. He's a 4-weight world champion now. He's a 2-time undisputed, as in 2-weight undisputed. He's defended his belts. I think this is going to be his 7th defense.
4 defenses last year.
Yeah, 4 last year. Yeah, he is. He earned his name, the monster, doesn't he? He is unbelievable.
He has got. He is. We spoke about it yesterday. Again, I know, but we said a couple of times that I keep trying to justify at some point that Inoue is going to decline. And it's not because I'm a hater of Inoue, but it's that expectation at some point this train has to reach the station. At some point this train has to stop. And it just doesn't. And even without realising it, we immediately went, so when he beats Nakatani and he moves up to featherweight, how far can he go? And I think that's a respect. I think that's a bit of disrespect to Nakatani, obviously, probably overlooking him slightly, but I think that's credit to Inoue and how good he is. I mean, we're in the presence of an absolute legend of the sport.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest Japanese fighter of all time. One of, if not the greatest, sort of Asian fighter of all time. And there are some greats, don't get me wrong, but he's in that conversation, if not already for me, absolute number one. He is for the weight classes, he's a legend of the lower weight class. Like we are amongst greatness at this point in time, and he is showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah.
If he beats Nakatani, then
if he beats Nakatani, that's another huge name on his record, who's also been so dominant.
But he was undisputed at bantamweight, weren't he?
Was he undisputed or was he unified?
I
think he was unified.
I think he was undisputed.
But yeah, I think the thing is, the point that you made, I think the distinguishing part of how far he's going to go is if he does win this fight and he decides he's going to featherweight, then it's how he copes at that weight. But that's not me suggesting that he needs to do that. He doesn't need to do anything now. He's already a legend. But if he was to climb to featherweight and win titles there, you're talking about a 5-weight world champion. You're
Yeah,
talking
he
about
wasn't
somebody
undisputed.
who's unbelievably dominant. And if he can pick up a couple of real legacy names at featherweight, wow, he's going to go down in history. He really is. So yeah, I think that'll be what would be a defining point in his career if he finishes this fight. What is left for him at super bantam? Really, not in a horrible way to the rest of the talent there. What is left down there? Really, he should be thinking about other challenges.
Yeah, no, I would agree, and you'd argue, depending on how Junto gets on in this fight, the realism of it is there's probably, beside the obvious challenge of weight, there's bigger fights. There's bigger fights up there, but I don't think necessarily from a skill point of view it's any more challenging. But I think there
Mm,
is obviously a size difference. In regards to my mishap, Nakatani was unified. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
three-weight world champion. He was unified, not undisputed. So,
mm,
guys, I apologize. I'm a useless piece of shit. That's your lot, man. To be honest.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I think he's. I think it's interesting, and I think if he moves up to featherweight, it's got to be looking at things like originally it would have been the Nick Ball fight, that
yeah.
obviously
But
fight
whether it's
now.
going to stay there or
I think realistically, I think the fight now will be you look at the likes of Brandon Figueroa,
I would. You know what though?
rematch with Lewis Neri maybe at featherweight,
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Shoo Shoo Carrington.
Yeah, yeah. Those
Yeah.
are the kind of fights you'd want to see. I think it's worth pointing out. In no way am I writing off Nakatani. You just can't bet against Inoue. But this fight is going to be a good fight, or should be a good fight. I think you've got different styles. We talked about it yesterday. Nakatani's got more range. He's better, well, not better. His skill sort of seems to lie in fighting from range. You know, a bit more uh, outside fighting, to be honest. And
I think also Nakatani is more powerful of the two in regards to one shot power.
it's hard to say, isn't it? But I do think you're right. One shot power lies with Nakatani, doesn't it? I think in a way his strength comes from
Volume combination.
landing plenty of clean shots,
And he's good at it.
and he is a hard hitter as well.
All of his shots are thudding, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like, whereas I think that with Nakatani, yes, he's got that combination element, but we've seen more of Nakatani where it's one shot changes the game.
yeah,
Um, can't not pick against Inoue.
yeah.
And the problem is, it feels like that disrespectful because Nakatani is a three-weight world champion. He's beaten good names. This is by far his biggest challenge, obviously. Whereas it's probably not Inoue's when you look at some of the fighters he's fought historically. Even you look at someone like MJ Akhmadaliev. You know,
Mm,
he's been in there. He's got the t-shirt. He's fought everybody. Now Nakatani's young in his physical prime. I can see Inoue getting dropped. I
mm,
can see Inoue getting dropped. We've seen it a couple of times now, so I can see him getting clipped, getting hurt. But that turns him on, doesn't it? You see, hey, listen, we've all got kinks, all right? And I'm just saying, if you need to be punched in the face, that's
no,
your thing.
I think it's interesting though, isn't it? Because
Inoue is basically he's quite similar to Pat Brown.
have you come up with that one?
So Pat Brown needs to get clipped before he goes, oh fuck, I'm in a boxing match.
Hmm.
And Inoue's kind of not the same because obviously we've seen him not get clipped and beat up people, but at the
Yeah,
same time, like against Lewis Neri, got clipped, got dropped, and he was like, "Oh
yeah.
shit,
We're fighting. Okay.
damn, my bad. Let
Yeah,
me beat the shit out of you for the next 4 rounds and see you
yeah,
quit." Like,
yeah.
and that's why he's basically Pat Brown.
I think the worry is
He's basically
there
Pat Brown's little brother.
is has in a way fought somebody who punches like Nakatani punches. Because if he hasn't and he gets dropped by Nakatani, is he getting back up? It's a question. But
I
again,
think so because Lewis Neri's a big puncher in his own right. To be fair
big
to
as
him,
Nakatani.
it's hard to say because Lewis Neri's a bigger fighter as well, isn't he? I mean, he's up at featherweight now. Um, is he as? It's hard because he's that sharp lower weight punching.
Mm,
Whereas as you get up to that featherweight, even the punchers that don't look like they should punch have more power than the big punchers down in bantamweight, for argument's sake.
yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, not being funny, but like, you look at featherweights right now, and you put, let's say, Bam Rodriguez as a bantamweight, obviously stepping up to fight Fernando Vargas. You put Bam Rodriguez in with Brandon Figueroa right now, who's quite a big featherweight. I love Bam Rodriguez, but you'd have to say that Brandon Figueroa is probably going to be too big, too strong, and probably going to hurt Bam because he's not built into that weight class. So I think it's hard to sort of make that measure.
I think the
Nakatani's a massive puncher.
he
Like,
is.
it's irrelevant of the comparison. He's a massive puncher, and I think realistically,
I don't necessarily see that Inoue is going to get dropped. I think Nakatani's best chances of winning this fight are to stop him by landing his equalizer and stopping Inoue. And if he did that, wow, what a shock that would be. But
I think he's got the ability potentially to box his way through this as well.
The thing is, based on his last performance though at Super Bantam,
That's a tough
it
thing.
doesn't fill me with confidence. He won,
Yeah, he did.
but it wasn't easy. And that's not to say that was because there's also, there's two people in a fight, so his opponent did well.
He did. He was undefeated as well as the opponent
Yeah,
going into that. It wasn't
yeah.
like he wasn't fighting a bum.
And well ranked.
Very well ranked.
He was top 10, I think.
Yeah, it was a good. It wasn't a gimmick. Kind of
Not
like
all.
go on,
Not all.
just go and show what you can do.
It was a test ready for Inoue. That was what it was setting up. But Inoue cleans out his divisions. We've seen it.
Yeah,
he's doing it.
It's undisputed.
So if Nakatani goes in and has what was a really tough fight against somebody who's not ready to fight in Inoue, then it's just an indicator for me. You got to pick up on something, and for me, I think he's probably not quite ready for this fight. I think there should have been a fight in between these.
I have a question.
Not for Inoue, because obviously he's going to pounce on the opportunity.
Question for you. Now, Inoue's obviously, this is his 7th defense of his undisputed Super Bantamweight titles, right? Been at Super Bantamweight for 3 years now, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Now, is Nakatani the toughest fight that Inoue has had at Super Bantam?
Picasso was a
Yeah,
good
it
name
was.
and a tough fight.
Yeah.
But if
I
you're
liked
comparing
Picasso.
them,
I thought he looked good.
I think if you're comparing them pound for pound, yes. But we don't know if he's the toughest fight he's going to have at Super Bantam.
Do you think, like, let's just for argument's sake, let's take a previous opponent. Let's take someone who was talked about highly, MJ Akhmadaliev. Does Nakatani beat Akhmadaliev? If that fight was happening right now and we were sat here discussing Akhmadaliev, Nakatani, where would you lean? I'm just curious. I think we're going to agree.
I think it would be Nakatani because, again, you've got to look at the fact that before his last performance and the results of other fights, he felt like a top 10, top 8 pound for pound fighter. So you would say Nakatani pound for pound. But it literally all comes down to me whether the Super Bantamweight is right for him.
Yeah. Is it one step too far?
Why not? That's the thing.
Is it maybe a step too early? Possibly. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I do expect Inoue to have the beating in Nakatani, unfortunately, for Nakatani. But I think Nakatani will come again. It's no discredit losing to Inoue.
Absolutely not.
The problem you've got is, and we've seen it at the heavyweight sort of level at the minute with Usyk. You've got one guy at the top with being Inoue. And the problem is the gap between, or the gap that we believe exists between Inoue and everybody else is huge.
Yeah.
And Nakatani, I would argue, if you put him in that super bantamweight division, I would argue that he would probably, without Inoue, be between him and someone like a Picasso, who looked very good, in my opinion, and was competitive throughout that fight. Yes, he got beat, where everyone goes, oh, he got beat up. Yeah, he did. He lost, fine. But he was competitive and he looked all right. Nakatani would be probably the undisputed super bantamweight holder. If not unified, without a shadow of a doubt. But Inoue is that much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think if you put him into that featherweight division, I don't think there's any reason he couldn't do it there. There's obviously bigger punchers. You look at people like Brandon Figueroa. Massive, massive fight. Big puncher.
Big guy as well.
Big guy. Nick Ball. They're all winnable fights. I think Angela Leo is one of the world title holders at featherweight. I think that's a winnable fight for someone like an Inoue. Because again, Leo's not the biggest featherweight in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
God, it's just, I don't know when. Like I said at the very start, and I could go on about just rambling about Inoue forever, but where does this train stop?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Because he's an all-time great already. Does it stop at featherweight? Can he go to super?
That would feel like a stretch, wouldn't it?
Inoue Navarre?
We'd be talking then about somebody who would have gone. What would that make him? Would that make him
Six.
6 weight?
6-weight world champion.
Two of those undisputed,
Yeah,
and
maybe
potentially
3,
even more.
maybe 4.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think if he wins this, try your luck at feather.
I think
Make
so.
some huge big money fights.
I
Do it.
think he's one of them old school legacy fighters where he isn't interested particularly. Obviously, he wants the money fights, and he's had the money fights, and he gets the money fights. He's fucking Inoue.
Yeah.
Like you could fight the bin man, and he will have. It's a big fight. I mean, I'm not being funny, but you look at someone like TJ Dehaney.
Yeah.
For clarity, TJ Dehaney's a good fighter, but that was still a huge fight because it was Inoue. Um, he's never avoided anyone. He's fought everybody. He's rematched people he's struggled with. He's got everything. And I'll be honest, I do think he's going to lose at some point.
Hmm.
I do think he's going to lose. Same as Canelo. Same as Roy Jones Jr. Same as Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Robinson.
Imagine if he didn't though.
Imagine. Because his resume, from a competitive point of view, is better than someone like a Floyd Mayweather. If he went and took himself to 45, 50, whatever, like the Terence Crawford, he then becomes if he goes and does what he's done here, even at featherweight, and becomes a 5-weight world champion, maybe a 3-time undisputed, 3-weight undisputed, he then becomes the conversation of this guy's
5 ever.
possibly. And again, there's always a huge pool of fighters to discuss, but
Yeah.
he is on the verge of already a greatness, but he's on the verge of like
The pinnacle.
the pinnacle conversation of like absolutely mind blowing, mind blowing. I don't know how long we've been rambling.
What we can confirm is that it's going to be a great fight. Definitely don't miss it. If you miss it for whatever reason, catch up with it immediately. A quick mention for some of the other fights. We've got Inoue's younger brother Takuma. He's
Takuma Matada
Takuma Matata. He's fighting for defending his WBC World Bantamweight title
against
against
Ioka.
Kazuta Ioka, who is a 2-weight world champion himself. He was a minimum weight champion in 2011. He's been around for a very long time. So it should be a good fight. Again, you lean towards Takuma there. He's got a couple of losses, but he's the champion. You got to back the champion, I think.
He's got the youth.
Yeah, got
even
the
though he's
youth.
not necessarily young, but he's got the youth,
Yeah.
and he's an Inoue. So
Yeah. We've also got a couple of other fights on the card. Yoshiki Takai is further down the card, but we've also got Toshiki Shimamachi and Raya Abe as well, which again should be a great fight. Abe, a previous world title challenger against Luis Alberto Lopez at featherweight.
the winner puts
So,
themselves in a really good spot as well for a world title shot up at featherweight.
100%.
So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Potentially a future opponent for Inoue if they get a few wins and
Yeah.
maybe pick up a title at featherweight.
Yeah.
Matchmaking.
Imagine. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of our video this time. None of our usual scheduling at the end. As I say, this is just focused primarily on the Inoue Nakatani fight.
It's called
I will say-
Ramblings with Tom.
I will quickly say that ChatGPT did predict that Inoue is going to win as well, so we cancel each other out there, even if we work out in these scores. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you later, geezer.